Good ID Design Finale, Gregor, by me. Hey everyone, no funny subtitle here, just thank you for being here for the last episode. My name is Ness, short for Vanessa. My pronouns are she, it, they, and I prefer no masculine terms including dude/bro. Please respect that or get out of my video! This is a mini-series where I cover IDs I don't often talk about and my appreciation for them, going over their particular strengths or weaknesses and what makes them well designed. In my opinion, not yours. While the aim is to talk about only one ID per video to make these short and sweet, I might mention another here and there to show my appreciation. I will discuss team compositions they work in, and all claims made are assuming that they are in the best composition for them. Also, subscribe if you like my content. The final ID we'll be covering is...
There are things in this world one could never grow accustomed to. The bizarre tagging of the dregs. A broken piece of tea leaves from the last fill of the teacup from the pot. The disappointing flavor of lukewarm scorched whiskey diluted from melted ice. And the taste of nightmares that continue to haunt me, despite my hatred of them. In that awful dream, I am visited by the one I abhor the most. The beast that took my little sister and destroyed my family. The cunning, cruel wolf, who took so much from me that I can't even recall all that he's deprived me of. The one who took my arm and left me to wear the shameful, hateful arm. The wretch that took my arm but not my life, leaving me to live out this abominable life. Never arrives alone. In this nightmare, I am beset by foes on all sides with no escape in sight. Is this the true magnitude of my fear? A body born weak and ailing. A body that forces me to struggle tooth and nail just to survive those that seek to harm me. Cannot conquer the fear from the source? I aim with the sharpened tip of my saber and stab them all with gloom-tempered swordplay I've trained my entire life in. But that nightmare always ends with my flailing defeat, its conclusion distant and unreachable. As the dream comes to a close, I come to a certain understanding that once again, I am the robbed one, the one deprived of even a chance to struggle. Then I awaken from the nightmare. I struggled desperately to escape the yoke of my weak constitution. I couldn't simply continue to live in my parents' glory. There are far too many vultures circling me for a chance to take my place, my wealth. I could not appear weak before them. I learned how to wield a blade, trained my body. I grew far too familiar with the pain that ravaged my lungs, yet my damnably weak body cared not for my determination. It pressed upon me with such cruelty. But that is how I protected what is mine, what I could get my hands on. A good home, quality clothes, delectable food, my inheritance. Once, I even found myself absorbed in the presumptuous belief that I may have overcome the curse I was born with. But there was something that had completely slipped my mind. The vagabond I saw at that tempestuous manor. The resentful eyes of that ill-tempered vagrant, burning with hatred behind his wet, ragged hair. He appeared before me as I was still drunk on delusion. Just like then, I could see my fear reflected in his eyes. My fear that he is eager to take everything I have. He cut off my arm in the blink of an eye. I don't even want to think back to this memory. Merely recalling that memory makes my stomach ache. I feel the bitter taste of stomach acid rising up my throat. But I won't be defeated like this. He wants to play hide and seek, does he? Very well. He shall have it. To sever this nightmare from me, this intangible terror, the woven hunt must begin. Because slaying the source of horror with my own hands is the only way to free myself from it.
Edgar family heir Gregor. Oh, I don't have to do his voice anymore? Okay, gotcha. Gregor? Edgar? Edgar. Edgar is one of the most underrated IDs in this game in my humble opinion. The sheer utility he provides throughout his entire toolkit, and an actually good use of self-syncing never before seen in Limbus, and still to this day. Arcorp Rhodia sucks, on top of damage conditionals for syncing with his passive. What are Edgar's weaknesses? Skill 2 clashing more than Skill 3 all around. Skill 3 only gaining clashing buffs and not coin power buffs. Generally, he has pretty bad numbers for clashing at 11, 16, 16 minimum to 15, 20, 19 maximum. I don't think his main role is to be a main clasher, however it's pretty frustrating at Uptie 4. He barely gets any benefits to his toolkit outside of lowering the SP loss of his support passive and gaining coin power buffs for his skill 1/2. While I understand he does gain coin power up next turn from his skill 3 if the enemy has 10 plus sinking potency, it just doesn't make sense why I couldn't get a +1 coin power conditional as well. This would change from a clashing 19 to clashing 23, and those numbers aren't even too crazy or anything. Gregor, as you've heard, also has low constitution, which translates to lower than average HP for gameplay. Even with all of these downsides though, one thing to note regarding this ID that I think makes up for that is he has a dodge that rolls 14 on base with a maximum of 17 if the target has 9 sinking potency. Interesting skill 3 application. Beside the factor of its clashing that I previously mentioned, one thing I genuinely adore about this ID is the way it handles self-sinking like no other ID in this game. Its effect provides a benefit of attack damage up and status and coin power up status, while gaining 10 to 1 sinking on yourself, 50% chance to not to, and just gain the buffs. This brings in one of my favorite factors within this game to light. Risk assessment. Risk assessment allows decision making within Limbus's limited gameplay style. Just from the factor that Gregor absorbs sinking the game buffs raises 3 problems alone. Will this be worth it if the enemy has Unbreakable so I lose 10 SP? Is spending potency for a few buffs a good call, especially when we're building stacks early on? Do I take the risk and bank on the 50% chance to not absorb sinking? Problems like this encouraging decision making while not being too much of a detriment make the upsides of skill free feel even more rewarding, no matter how simple they are. While we're at it, this skill inflicting +3 sinking count on stagger or +3 sinking count to enemies on defeat is the cherry on top. I just love IDs that reward kill confirms. It's just a breath of fresh air to see an ID with self sinking that actually benefits the ID rather than just being slapped on to punish you with no real upsides. Fuck it, you two. His best clashing skill has great count, +5 singing count, 2 coin with a conditional deploy count on clash win. You know what? Sure, why not? When paired alongside Wuthering Heights Butler Otis or Faust Echoes of the Manor, this skill just becomes one of the single most insane count appliers in the game in terms of 2 coin skills. Count has never really been an issue of sinking in recent, but you cannot deny the support for it is definitely substantial. +3 positive sinking count and haste gain on skill can never be slept on. Another thing to note is how his speed maximum is 8, which other IDs at the time usually didn't have whatsoever, and it stacks with his base kit haste gain. This haste gain changes his 3 to 8 speed rolling to 4 to 9, which means he will be earlier on your board to apply sinking count / benefit off his synergy with Ego. Speaking of which, Solemn Lament upscale! This ID alone feels 3/4 of Solemn Lament, just requiring some sloth report that literally the only other ID that inflicts butterflies can actually support. Not even mentioning about how good the Ego is in of itself. The Lament passive directly benefits Gregor by giving +1 final power if the unit has negative effects, considering the factor of Nightmare Hunt absorbing 10 sinking on top of gaining coin power. Not to forget to mention how Solemn Lament as an Ego generally assists with, especially with the Corrosion, inflicting +3 sinking count and 5 potency 5 count butterflies on 5 different targets. What the hell? Even when not utilizing the Corrosion, this Ego is substantial for DPS and managing Solemn Lament Yisang's butterfly stacks. Pretty damn valuable and notably good for this ID in particular. Is Gregor good ID design? Not only does he have one of my favorite Uptie stories in the game, but he supports one of my favorite sinking compositions to run, Solemn Lament. He introduces an interesting playstyle where, depending on how you're handling fights, skill free can be your strongest or weakest tool, which even then he has consistently good tools to compensate for that factor, his skill 2 and his dodge. Don't sleep on this guy! He's fun and encourages decision making, which easily falls in line with what I consider to be quote-unquote good ID design. Also, he amplifies Gregor's character in a really satisfying way. I think Canto 6 was peak, but I feel like Gregor was kind of underutilized since we don't even get to fight him, technically. Thank you for watching Good ID Design. Any other Gregor IDs you think qualify as good ID design? Anything I skipped regarding this ID that you want to cover personally? Making this video series has been a blast in exploring underutilized / underappreciated IDs and getting others' input regarding them. It's been a huge step forward for what I want to do with my slideshow format and has provided some great criticism to reflect and grow on to make better videos. I thank you for being here to watch this. So, for one last time,
Have a good day.
Be
Be
good
good
people.
people.